Hey, all right. Good morning. Hello, and welcome to another live stream class session. This is DGST 101 Intro to Digital Studies, and I'm Zach Whalen, the professor. Getting started here a little gradually. I think I have a couple things I still wanted to adjust. As you can see, I have my slideshow up here, and here's the canvas. I'll leave that up here. If you're watching, then hopefully you're in my class, and if you're not, then that's okay too, but hopefully people in my class are watching these. Currently, I just see 2 viewers on the dashboard, my Twitch dashboard, but I know that number's not always accurate, and of course it's fine if people are watching it later. Okay, let me bring down the music, but if you are watching and you are in the class, please say hello. I always kind of like to know who's out there, especially, you can say hi in the live stream chat channel in Discord or just on the Twitch stream, whichever. That's always great to see. So hello, good to see you again today. Saw you posting yesterday too. Great. So today I am going to actually really try to get done in less than an hour. Yesterday didn't. Yesterday I was like, I want to get this done in like 30 minutes, and it was actually longer. It was it's an hour 7, so it was actually quite a bit. It was a little bit longer than Monday's stream. So today I really want to try to get it done in less than an hour because it's a nice day. I want to go outside, basically. Good morning. Thanks for saying hello, Nighty Bobidi. And I see a couple of you in Discord, so great. Today there's 3 goals, and you can see them up here, up above me, the normal to-do list here. These are actually your goals, and so I'm going to explain how to do them. I'm going to talk through a couple of things, so I'm going to talk through each of these and a couple other things. But these are the things that you are also hopefully going to be doing today, and you'll see that in the notes for today. So let me pull up the notes and kind of give you the outline and then kind of work through it. So today we're at the middle of the week, and so there's a couple things that I want to kind of take for granted at this point, that I hope I can anyway. One of them, actually I just realized I have the audio still coming from that webcam. Maybe I'll leave that up there. It's kind of nice, right? It's the background. I don't know if you saw the image that I had up before I started talking. It's a live webcam feed from Dollywood of one of their eagle nests, and I thought it was kind of nice. So I like to do sort of live webcams of nature kind of stuff. It just kind of, I don't know, it makes like a nice chill vibe, I guess. Maybe I'll just leave that up there because you might hear eagles making sounds on it occasionally, and that might be okay. There's actually lots of birds in my yard too, you might hear. Anyway, I'll just leave it running. So yeah, today's outline, I want to talk a bit more about WordPress. So by now you've got a domain registered, you've installed WordPress. Hopefully, if you haven't, that's okay, but you should do those things before proceeding because you won't be able to customize WordPress if you haven't already installed it. Make sure you do that first. And so I'll talk about that a bit. Also, I'm going to talk about an essay called As We May Think by Vannevar Bush. And this is an essay that I'm going to ask you to read and work with using a platform called Perusal. So part of my introduction will be, I'll introduce the essay, but I will also introduce you to that platform and show you how to work with that, show you what I expect from that. So I keep looking over at my left. My monitor, second monitor, has all my dashboards on it, and I feel like I look extra yellow today for some reason. I don't know why. I don't feel yellow. I feel but it's the camera that changes the white balance automatically, and I don't know why. Anyway, and then the other thing I want to talk about is your first module. So modules are open-ended, kind of creative. This is a creativity-focused module. So I'll show you kind of the basic structure of what I expect, and then introduce each of the 3 options that I'm going to ask you to choose from as you decide what to do really on your own this week. Okay, so a couple things. So let's take a look first at WordPress. I assume most of you are using WordPress. If not, that's okay. But I did want to make one note. I sent one of you, I'm not going to name you because I don't know, but I sent one of you a DM this morning in Discord about an issue I see with the way that you are approaching the website. So I won't say what that is, but check your DMs in Discord because I send information that way sometimes, so please do that. If you have any questions, you can also DM me right in Discord. That's a good way to have that kind of conversation. So if you are that person, then you probably need to do something different or maybe not. So I've asked you a question, just answer that question when you have a chance. But my assumption here is that you are using UMW domains you've installed WordPress, you are working with it that way. Now, I'm saying it that way because there are other ways to use WordPress. WordPress.com is a hosted WordPress solution. You can just sign up for an account and start blogging. That's fine for blogging, but it's not going to work for an assignment that we're doing later on, where I'm going to ask you to hand code HTML to create a web page. That's something that you cannot do with WordPress.com. So you will need to sign up for UMW.domains account. And it's not just signing up for an account, it's registering a domain. And I feel like if you are using WordPress.com, you might not be really getting the true value out of this class. So I really recommend you work on and use UMW domains to sign up for a domain. If you don't understand what a domain is yet, or if you have questions about that, then we should definitely talk, because there is a really big difference from having your content eventually hosted at, for example, zachwhalen.net versus zachwhalen4073.4.wordpress.com. Like, just the namespace, the nomenclature, that is very different. So I really recommend you sign up for a domain anyway, but also, like, just for this class, you need to use UMW domains. All right, cool. So WordPress. I've installed WordPress yesterday, and it's here. This is the WordPress that I installed. I wanted to show you a few more things that are really important as you're getting started in WordPress. A couple of them, I'm going to give you several recommendations that are related to security. So you have a website. WordPress is a very popular way to make a website, and is also a very popular thing for hackers to try to break into and exploit because of its popularity. So you have a responsibility, first of all, to keep your site up to date. There's also a few other things you should do to minimize your chances of being impacted by spam or other kind of problems. So I'm going to show you how to do those things here shortly. So I'm making a slight adjustment here. So 1 second. I don't know if that applied the change that I wanted to, but basically I'm trying to adjust the synchronization between my audio and my video. I think it's a little off, so I was just tweaking it a little bit. Anyway, this is WordPress. And yeah, so the several things you need to do, and I've got them listed here in the notes, so I'll just kind of go through them in that order. So installing and activating the plugin called WordFence is a good idea. WordFence is software that will, among other things, protect your website. So I wanted to show you how to install a plugin, and then show you how to. Where am I? Here. Oh, here. And then show you how to do some other things that are customizations, right? So Akismet is also really important. We'll get to that in a second, but it's already installed, but it also needs to be activated. And then it needs to be set up. There's actually 3 steps for Akismet, but there should be, I think, just 2 for WordFence. So I'll show you first of all how to add WordFence. So if you go to Add New at the plugin page, and then you search for a plugin that you want to add, WordFence is the one in question, and it comes up first here. There's a few other related versions of WordFence or kind of sub plugins or things that are kind of helper plugins for WordFence. But you really just need the main one, which is this one here. And so I'm going to hit install now. Yeah, it's going to take a minute to download some things and do some back-end kind of things, and then it's going to sign up for an account. Now, WordFence and also Akismet, some other things here, they have what's called a freemium model. So there's a free version, and then there's a premium version that you can pay for. But these are all things that they offer a lot with the free version, and that's all you really need for. I mean, that's all I would recommend at this point, is just doing the free versions of stuff. If you feel like paying for something, there's no reason not to, but you don't have to get what's most important out of these things. Okay, so that's installing, and it is installed. Okay, and as you can see, that install button turned into an activate button, but I'm going to go back to the main plugins page to show you what you need to do to activate it usually. So you've got this option down here to activate or delete it. I'm just going to click on activate, And I don't think this one requires a sign up. I think it might just work. We'll find out. In any case, if you have any issues with this, the link here, install and activate, in the notes takes you to a tutorial for how to do these things. Great, I have successfully installed it. I do not want to join a mailing list. I have read these. Okay, well, I don't care. Okay, it looks like you don't have to actually do that. Oh yeah, no, you do need to send. You do need to give it an email address so it knows where to send the notifications, because it will notify you, and you can adjust the kinds of things you want it to notify you about. Like you can say, like, I want fewer notifications. Basically, it'll tell you if someone tries to hack your site, and it'll tell you that, hey, we stopped it. It sets up a firewall and some other things, so it's really pretty useful, but mostly it just runs in the background and you don't have to do anything with it. It just sort of, you know, you set it and forget it. Okay, so Akismet is a little different. Akismet is going to block spam. So if somebody tries to leave a comment on your website and it's a spam comment, you know, it's like a link to their sunglasses website or whatever, then you can, or, you know, I mean, sunglasses is that's a pretty innocuous example, but a lot of it can be, you know, really disturbing, porn kind of things. So if you don't want to deal with that, then let Akismet deal with that for you. I don't know actually how it works, probably machine learning. And the, let's see here. Sometimes plugins will send you these little messages like that. And I don't really want to do that right now. But anyway, this is Akismet. So I have now activated Akismet, but I've installed it. Wait, so I've installed it, I've activated it, but I still need to complete the setup. And that's what you do with this big blue button that says complete the setup. So you have to go here and you have to sign up for it. Now, there's a couple of things, like this view, by the way, is usually, like my window's kind of narrow here, usually it's presented in multiple columns. You definitely want the personal version, right, because it is just you and your website, and you can do it like that. And then this one here, this is where they're asking for some money, and you know, it's actually a donation, so you don't have to do this. And here's something that isn't obvious at first probably, but this little slider is determining how much money you're willing to pay or that you want to pay right now. You can take it all the way up to $120 a year, or you can take it all the way down to $0 a year. And there are no consequences. It works fine just like this. It's just how much you feel like paying. And if you notice, that smiley face gets gradually happier as the amount goes up. And then if you scroll down, you have to go back this way to make it less happy. So Gazimir, I guess, just posted a message. I can send you another one, but the one that I sent on this past weekend should still be active. It's a 7-day invitation code, so that should still work. If you're still trying to get into the Discord, you know, try that. And if it doesn't work, then email me and I'll send you a new one. I don't remember if I have said it. I don't remember if you all can send invitation codes. I don't think you can. At least I don't want you to. Let me control the flow of in and out of the Discord. So yeah, just check the email. And if that link in the email doesn't work, then try again. I don't want to put that link in Canvas because some parts of Canvas are public, and so if people find that, randos find that, and then click on it, they would join our Discord. I don't want that to happen. So okay, looks like you might have just joined. Okay, great. Welcome to Discord. All right, great. So yeah, so this is, I'm not going to go further with Akismet at this point because the rest is pretty straightforward. Or actually, I don't actually want to sign up because I've already signed up, and I don't want to sign in because I don't remember my account. Well, maybe I could, but the ultimately what you're going to get is called a token, and it's going to ask you to bring that token back here, this API key or token, and it's a long string of letters and numbers, and you just paste it here and then hit connect with your API key. Until you do that, you will continue to see a message on here saying Akismet is not done yet. This big green banner means you have not completed this setup with Akismet. I have not right now. But once you're done, this message will go away. In fact, I do probably have an API key I can use here, come to think of it, because this is the DGST 101.net dashboard, and I've set up Akismet long ago on this one, so I bet I can get to it here. I am, by the way, very slowly in the process of updating this website to a new system. because I'm tired of WordPress. But this is, yeah, so I just copied that API key from a different website, and it'll work here as well. Just have to hit the connect button. And as you can see now, it is protecting my site from spam. Happy blogging. Great. Okay, so that's an important step. That's a security step. So I've got WordPress, I've got Akismet. What else did I recommend? Yeah, the other thing you might want to think about, like Akismet's goal is to try to prevent people from leaving spam comments on your website. Another way to prevent that is to make it impossible for people to leave comments on your website. So you've got a decision to make. Do you actually imagine that people will leave comments on your website, and or not? And if not, or if you can't imagine a scenario where you would be happy to see someone's comment on your website, then it's okay to just disable that feature entirely. The way to do that is not totally intuitive or straightforward. I want to show it to you here. I just turned the eagles down a bit because I noticed they were calling a lot. So I'll show you how to do it. It's a little, there's a bit of it that's kind of odd. So you might think, for example, that it's under the discussion settings because comments are a kind of discussion. Wait, no, it is actually. So you might think, and you are actually right. So this is the checkbox that actually controls the ability for people to leave comments. It says, allow people to submit comments on new posts. Individual posts may override these settings. Changes here will only be applied to new posts. So if you uncheck this box and then save the changes here on the screen, now no one is allowed to comment on new posts or new content that gets created on this website. Now, I already had some posts on this website. So if I go here to Hello World, this is the post that I showed you how to edit yesterday. This post actually does have a comment field on it still because it was created before I applied that setting. So we can take a look at it in a live view. Seagulls are really making a lot of noise. I'm gonna go ahead and mute them. I can hear it from my headphones down here. They're pretty loud. I think eagles sound cool. So this one, actually, no, I remember I switched to a theme that doesn't have anything in it. So you can't actually see the comment field, but it is there. I'll just switch back to the default theme so you can see what this looks like. So yeah, here's my original Hello World post, and as you can see, it still does have a comment field even though I changed the setting to not allow comments anymore. I have to actually go in and edit each post, or this post, manually, and I wish you could do it retroactively, but you can't for whatever reason. So the way to do it is a couple ways. The easiest, well, one way is when you're viewing the post as I am right now, you can go down here to see where it says discussion, and you can click on that to expand it and then uncheck those two boxes. So that's one way to do it. There's another way. All right, just take your time. There is another way to do it. From here, you can do a quick edit, and then there's the option right here to allow or disallow comments. So if you uncheck that, then the comments disappear. Okay, so that's those are the three main things that I really recommend you do. And the third one, turning off comments, that's up to you, but that's I mean, it makes sense to me. But definitely the first two are very strong recommendations of mine. Okay, so these other ones are also pretty strong recommendations, but not really for security reasons. These are just kind of things to start getting to know and work with WordPress. So changing and customizing a theme, I kind of talked about that yesterday. That's sort of like play around with it and see what you like, basically. A couple other things here. So change your username, change the website name, start using categories, and then editing the about page. Let me show you these two things because I think the category and editing the about page, I think you'll be able to figure that out. But the username and the site name may be a little bit different. So I'll show you how to do that here and then move on to the next thing for today. So this is under settings, and settings, as you can imagine, is where you change settings. And the general settings include the first two things. By default, your blog is called My Blog, and that's not very descriptive. So make it something else like Zach's Digital Studies blog, or whatever makes sense to you. And this tagline is, again, make it whatever, or I usually just delete the tagline. Yeah, so that'll change the site as it appears here. So if you go, like right now, it's called My Blog. That's where this theme shows the title of My Blog. I forgot to. Oh wait, no, I'm still here. Yeah, My Blog. That'll change if I apply these settings here and hit Save Change. So just Yeah, there you go. So now you can see it says Zach's Digital Studies blog, or if I go to the home page, you'll see that, yeah, similarly kind of up in the top there. So this is just a way to kind of give the reader some more information about what this is. And when you create a link to this in Discord, when you share it in here, it's going to show up with that link title probably, so or as part of the title. So it's really, you know, it helps to distinguish your page from everyone else's page. Okay, so that's how to do that. The other thing that I would suggest is changing the way that your name appears, because if you notice, I've said this is Zach's Digital Studies blog, but if you look at any individual post, like this Hello World, you'll see that it's authored by admin, which is kind of awkward because that's not my name. It's a pretty generic name. It is better to have a specific name in that field instead of just admin. So you do that by going to where it says users, and under users, so you've got, so I set this up in a way that use the default username generated by Installatron. I can change that later, I suppose, but I'll show you how to change that here. So when you edit yourself, like, so this is me, even though it's got this awkward name here. Yours might be Z Whalen or the equivalent, like it might be whatever you set it up to be. You do have to edit your username or your user profile, really. And down here, you've got different choices you can create. This is kind of a strange interface, but it makes sense once you use it. So my first and last name are obviously Zach and Whalen. And then once you've entered those fields, down here you get different choices in the display name publicly as. So this is a drop down. You have to select whichever one you want. It'll just combine them different ways. And if I just go with Zach, that works for me. Everything else is fine. So I just need to update the profile. So there you go. And now when I view this page, I should see that it's not by admin anymore, but now it's by Zach. So yeah, there you go. That's all there is to that. And you don't have to use your actual name, by the way. Like you can use like a nickname or some like jokey name. It doesn't matter. Like it's just anything other than admin, because you want your website to look like you put some thought into it. And this is a way to do that. If I see your posts all authored by admin and all in the category uncategorized, and your website is called My Blog, it tells me that you haven't spent much time actually investing in the construction or design of that site. And I really want you to do that. Okay, so that is WordPress. I'm going to transition pretty soon as I check this off here, but if you have any questions about WordPress or if you'd like me to show you any of that again, please let me know. And otherwise, I'm checking off this item on the to-do list. That's something that I have covered now. But of course, as always, I'm happy to explain things again. I just want to move on so I can try to get this done today before 11:30. We'll see. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about here is something that is giving us kind of a prehistorical view of the web. I mean, one of the things, you are entering into the web, you've been using the web, of course, but as a owner of a website now, you are participating in the web in a new way, probably. So I think it's important to understand the history of these concepts, and a lot of people, when they think about the history of these concepts, point back to this essay called As We May Think by a guy named Vannevar Bush. So he wrote this essay in 1945, so it's old, and he wrote this in 1945. Computers as we know them didn't exist in 1945. There were computational machines, there were essentially enormous calculators and information processors. They weren't what we think of today as kind of the real-time interactive thing with a monitor and a desktop and a mouse and a keyboard. All that stuff had to be invented, and it took a few years for that to happen. But in 1945, there were the earliest things, the foundational things that we needed in order to invent those things were created. A lot of that was created for the war effort. People needed to crack codes, and so they made giant machines that could do a lot of calculations in order to to decode things, to break into different ciphers, or to process the information of just military logistics, or to develop the formulas and technologies necessary for the atomic program. So lots of these things happened because of World War II. And in 1945, as World War II is ending, Vannevar Bush, who was one of the people that was behind a lot of that, who was managing a lot of those developments, was kind of looking ahead and thinking, like, what do we do with this now? Like, we have all this stuff, what are we going to do with it? And he writes this essay called As We May Think, and he publishes it in the magazine The Atlantic, and it's come to be pretty influential. So here's how I would like you to read it. So if you click on this link, it'll take you to an assignment page here in Canvas. And then if you click on this, it's going to take you to Perusal. Now this is a new tool. I see a couple of you already here. This is great. I saw a few of you on it this morning too while I was working on it. So you probably saw the announcement come through or the notification coming through from Canvas. It's weird. It looks kind of fuzzy, but that's okay, I guess. So let me tell you a bit about Perusal and then talk a bit more about the essay. So Perusal is an annotation tool. It's a collaborative annotation tool. So as you can see, there are two of you probably also accessing this document at the same time right now. And what we are able to do is highlight any part of this. Try to not to get this much, but any part of this, like this sentence, for example. And then once you highlighted it, you get this little pop out that allows you to leave a comment. And this comment or question is something that is called an annotation, just as a generic term for these kind of things. And what I would like for you to do is use this capability within this essay to comment on the essay as you read it. And here's what I suggest for the comments. So this is an essay. The premise of my assigning this essay is that there are things in this essay that anticipate or prefigure or lay the foundations for the concepts of the World Wide Web, the things that we take for granted about computers and how they connect to each other today. These ideas had to be invented, and this essay is one expression of some of the early ideas, I think. So what I'd like for you to do is, as you read through this, keep an eye out for things that sound familiar or that look like, or they are descriptions of things, and also pay attention to not just the technological idea of what the thing is, but the values behind it, the things that are important about it. And what I mean by that is pay attention to who is using this technology and what is it for. So we think of the web as, whatever we think of it as, it's just sort of a place where you just sort of watch TikToks or whatever. But I don't know what you do, or read tweets. I don't know what you do with the web. But Vannevar Bush had some different ideas at that point. So what are his ideas and how are they different from ours? That would be an interesting thing to discuss, especially when you see evidence of his ideas as you read through it. One big thing to keep an eye out for example, is gender. If you are looking for it, you will probably notice that, or maybe if you're not looking, it'll probably jump out at you that when he talks about the person using this system that he describes, he consistently uses masculine pronouns. He's definitely describing a male scientist doing this work. Women appear in here, but in a different way. And so pay attention to that. Like, where are they in this essay and what are they doing? And why are they in that place and doing those things, as opposed to the other things that the nominal scientist is doing. Okay, so I've highlighted a few things in here already, and so you can kind of view those if you want. In the right sidebar here of Perusal, if you click on this icon that looks like two speech balloons, when you click on that, you can see the comments that are already in this document. I've left 3. So you can see each other's comments, and the idea is that you can, of course, write your own comment, or you can respond to someone else's. Like, you can respond to mine, for example. I've got 3 here, and so you could write an annotation, like you could respond this way. You can also, if you like someone else's comment, I guess I can't upvote my own, but if you like someone else's comment, you can upvote it and kind of indicate that that was a good comment. So that's another thing you should do. You can also use emoji in these things, but really upvoting is, or starring, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's upvoting. I don't have anyone else's comments to interact with here, but I think if you see other people's comments, you can upvote them. I think that's the button that appears. So try to upvote good comments, try to respond to interesting comments, or try to, leave your own, like leave your own comments and, your own ideas. I want to see your own ideas. Now, I will tell you, this essay is kind of long, and the best parts of it, the most interesting parts, are really sections 6, 7, and 8. You should read everything up until then, so you get the foundation, and so you kind of understand this. But there are 2 key ideas technologically, or 2 pieces of technology that he describes, and one of them is described starting in section 6, the most famous one, the Memex. But there's another one that he talks about, which is also really interesting, a camera, and it's in section 4, I think. No, I forget where it is. It's hard to control F, like to search throughout this essay because of the way Perusal presents it, but it is in here somewhere. There's this idea of, hang on a sec. I don't know, but it's in here somewhere. maybe it's all this part about photography. I don't know. Anyway, let me show you what it looks like actually. This is these are the illustrations that originally appeared with this essay. The version that I've linked to in Perusal doesn't have the illustrations for some reason, but these were originally published in The Atlantic with this essay. And so you can see the examples of the technology that he talks about. The forehead camera thing on the left. The idea of this one is that, let's say you're a scientist in the field or in the library and you want to remember something. You've got a camera on your forehead and you've got a plunger thing that you can squeeze to take a picture. So you just take a picture of what you're doing, and then later you look at all your pictures and add those to your notes. I mean, I don't know about you. Obviously, I don't have a camera on my forehead, but I do actually, when I'm in the library, if I see something interesting, I'll often take a picture of it so I can look it up later, or I can find it later or add it to my notes later. Certainly, if I'm out in the world, I take pictures, to remember things. So it's not too far-fetched as far as an idea. Then this thing over here on the right, this is the main thing, the most influential idea. This is the Memex device. And it's a diagram, obviously. He applied for a patent for this device, so he got as far as that, but he did not actually make the device. Other people have, more recently made Memex machines, kind of just as a proof of concept or sort of art project, really. As a device, it ends up not being that practical to produce or useful because it's very quickly superseded by digital technology. But this is basically an analog information computer, and it's pretty interesting to think about. Okay, so here's some other questions, right? So these are things that I've kind of put into the notes on Perusal already, but there's just some other things to think about, like the Memex, who is it for? And then, if we think of what Memex is like, how do we think of something like Wikipedia as sort of a descendant of Memex? Is there a relationship between those two, first of all? And if so, are the same values that Bush talks about in the Memex still present in Wikipedia? And if so, is that okay, or should we try to do something different? And I think maybe we should try to do something different. I'll just give you that preview. Anyway, so this is Perusal. A couple things. So Perusal has this sense of automatically grading, and it does a lot to actually give me analytics about how you are using these documents and interacting with them. I'm not really going to use that in any kind of assessment way, but I will pay attention to it because it does tell me things about, if you read the essay or what parts of it you read, and if you had any questions about it. So I will look at that stuff. It's going to actually give you a grade based on your comments. And it's going to grade your best 5 comments and give me a grade on that. I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to use that, in any way. I'm just going to mark this complete or incomplete. So if you do it at all, it'll be complete. But I just wanted you to be aware that Perusal actually does a lot to monitor your interaction with this document, including how long you spend on specific parts of it. So, just FYI, I guess. Okay, so that's Perusal, and that's Vannevar Bush. I think mainly, read the essay to get a sense of it. You can also find, if you feel like adding something to this essay, like in your annotations, one thing you could find is has someone made a Memex machine? And if so, could you find a video of it being used? Or, he talks about tube technology, vacuum tube technology. I mean, what did that look like? And if you find interesting pictures, you can add that kind of thing. So, there's ways in which we can enrich this essay by annotating it. And in fact, that's what the Memex is sort of, designed to do. So, yeah, that's the idea. All right, so I just saw a question in the live stream chat that I will respond to, and going back to WordPress. So the question is, do you have to post publicly on WordPress? And the answer is yes. WordPress, if you're going to write something and only keep it private, there's no reason to put it on WordPress. So WordPress, again, is, and also just terminologically here, you said on WordPress. I don't want you to use WordPress.com, so I would say with WordPress is probably the better preposition there, but using WordPress as a blog, those are meant to be public, and yes, those do need to be public. Now, if you're self-conscious about anything you're writing, or you don't want it to be identified with you, you can always use a pseudonym. You can sign things anonymously or whatever, but I want you to understand how the system works, and this is a public by default system. So if there's some reason that there's something you don't want people to see you saying, then maybe don't say that, or send that to me privately or whatever. You don't have to say those things publicly, but yeah, WordPress is a public facing platform. That's its purpose. So if there's some reason you don't want to be public, then we need to talk about other ways to complete the assignments for this class, right? So that's the default. Yeah. And you know, another thing, I don't know, we should probably talk about it if you're concerned, but the other thing to keep in mind is like if you're posting, like you have, I hope right now, a main domain, right? So mine being zachwhalen.net. One advantage of posting or creating a subdomain, which is what I explained yesterday, is that you have a sense of separation. So here's my main domain, here's the main stuff about me. This is super out of date, by the way, I need to work on it. But if if I'm doing stuff in DGST 101 demo.zachwhalen.net, there's actually no relationship between those publicly unless I tell people about it. So if you go here to zachwhalen.net, and there's no link from here to my subdomain. There's no way to infer that it exists or discover it unless I provide a link to it, and I haven't. So if you are concerned about those things, that's something that keeps them separate, and I think keeping them separate is a good idea. So hopefully that answers your question, although maybe we should talk about whatever if you have specific concerns to that question. Okay, so let's see. I think that's enough about Vannevar Bush. If you have any questions, then of course ask about that. But I will mark that item checked off and move on to number 3. All right, so I'll go back to my slideshow here. So this is the final thing. So you've got, you are going to begin working on your first module, and the instructions of it for this are in Canvas, of course. And let me take a look at it here, where it says digital creativity. This is the instructions in Canvas, and there are basically 3 phases to this work. This is, by the way, a thing that would normally take 2 weeks in a class of like a fall spring semester. You have basically 2 days to do it. So I certainly understand that, and I don't expect you to do 2 weeks worth of work in that amount of time, if that makes sense. And these are also very exploratory kinds of things, so the specific thing that you do with this can totally vary. So I'll talk about each of them individually a bit, but first let me kind of basically explain the structure of what I want you to do. First of all, so you'll do some research, you'll pick one of these, and you don't have to have an idea yet about what you're going to do with it when you pick it. So pick it first, and then write a short blog entry explaining what you've chosen and why, and why you think this is an important thing for you to do. So this is the why does it matter, the so what kind of question. I want you to write that in a blog post and then share that blog post in the channel. I guess I should make text channels for these all. I forgot to do that. So we'll do creative coding. I'm doing this now in Discord under the text channels category. I'll spell it right. So creative coding, interactive fiction, or digital audio. These are now channels that are available in Discord, and the idea is I'd like you to write your blog post on your blog and then share the link to that post in the appropriate channel in Discord, or you can also just say hello in those channels just to let people know that this is this is what you plan to do. And then you spend the time after that working on the module, doing whatever work, and sharing your work in progress, or sharing your resources. You're gonna have certain choices to make, and so I'd like you to share those choices in the Discord channel so other people can see what you're doing. You can compare notes. You can provide help each other find resources to help. For example, if you're working with Twine, which is one of the platforms I'll show you in a second, you might find a particular tutorial that's really helpful, and if you do find that, then share that in that Discord channel so other people can benefit from that too. That's the basic idea. Then ultimately, when you're done with whatever you've produced or worked on, or whatever the state of it is, when you feel like you're ready to talk about it, then I would like for you to create a final blog post and a final video. So 2 separate things. So it's basically 2 blog posts, 1 video. And this is a short video, 60 to 90 seconds. You do not have to appear on camera in this video, but 60 to 90 seconds explaining what you learned, what you made, and why it matters. So I would like you to share that in the sharing channel. The point is that I want other people that chose different modules to learn about the module you chose. So if someone chose interactive fiction and you did something with digital audio, that person who chose interactive fiction might want to see what you did and see what they essentially missed by doing digital audio instead. So yeah, that's the idea. So 2 blog posts and 1 video. All this, of course, is due Friday night. Okay, so that is the structure of it. Let me talk a bit about the. My mouse is getting laggy. I don't know what's going on with my computer today. I probably need to restart it. So here's these modules. So creative coding is the first one I'll talk about a bit. All of these modules are basically choose your own difficulty level. So this one though kind of starts maybe at a bit higher level in terms of difficulty because it is coding, and so you kind of can't not do coding with this one. But there's lots of ways you can learn. One thing I would recommend just as a way to thinking about a possible project is, so if you take a look at well, Cheatbots Done Quick, this is pretty good. This is if you're interested in making a Twitter bot, Cheatbots Done Quick is probably the system I would recommend for making a Twitter bot. That's something that is relatively low code, certainly doable in a couple days. There's also, P5JS is another platform. I don't think I have a link to it here. But there's lots of help for P5JS. I should add a link to that. P5JS is a nice tool for using JavaScript to draw things, create things. There's a lot of tutorials for this. The Coding Train, which is a YouTube channel by Daniel Schiffman, has a lot of really great stuff to get started with P5JS. So it's pretty fun, even if you are relatively new to coding. It makes it doable. Something you might want to do, and this is a sample project basically, is Nick Montfort is a digital poet, a poet who makes digital poems, and he often will make them in a way that's published on the web. And something that might be interesting is take one of his poems that's running in a browser, and not adverb, that's not a good example, and modify it. So let's see, I'm trying to find a good example for that. A lot of really interesting things here. Trying to find a good one. Use of dust, that might be good. Okay, so this is one that is his variation on a poem called House of Dust by Allison Knowles. And what you can do if you want to do this kind of thing is view the source code of this. I know this will only make sense if you've done this kind of thing before, but I just want to show you what's possible. So if you view the source code, which is always available on the web, we will look at source code later on, by the way. You can actually just modify different parts of this to make it generate the kind of poem you want. Now, this one's actually kind of messy looking. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of hard to parse visually. So let's find an easier example. So the example linked in here is actually probably easier, Taroko Gorge. If you look at the source code for this one, you'll see that there are a list of words here. And so if you wanted to modify this to make your own version, what you would be doing is changing the lists of changing these words that appear here. And to do that, you have to save a copy of this on your own computer, make those changes, and then see what it looks like. A bit of an iterative process, but certainly an interesting one. Okay, so let's take a look at another one. Again, you don't have to do creative coding, but that's a choice. I would recommend that if you've already had a bit of experience with code, but certainly it's probably doable. Let's take a look at digital audio. So this one, I don't know about you, but I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and I found that I started taking a lot of walks when the pandemic started, and so I started listening to a lot of podcasts. A lot of resources available for helping you do that, and I'm not saying you have to publish a podcast exactly, but thinking about how how sound design works in podcasts could be one approach to this. Now this is audio, and so audio could include music. If you're interested in working with if you're interested in working with music, there are a couple of different tools. I was trying to think of the name of Soundtrap. Yeah, that's another one that I heard about recently that I wanted to add. I think it's soundtrap.com. It's a web-based digital audio workstation. So if you wanted to edit some music, this would be an interesting thing to do. Like record and edit and mix your own song. That would be an interesting project for digital audio. Or you could use that to edit a podcast. If you do podcasts, one thing that I would recommend, or if you're interested in audio storytelling, one thing that might be fun to look at is think about sound design. And if you listen to a podcast like Radiolab, they do a lot with sound design. Reply All doesn't do as much with sound design. They do a lot of good storytelling and journalism, but Radiolab, if you listen to the edits and the sound effects and the music coming in and out, they often will have little bursts of music, and they just do a lot with the sound design. I really recommend listening to them if you're interested in how to do that. If you want something much more straightforward, StoryCorps is very minimalist in sound design. It's just really two people talking usually. So check some of those out if you're interested in that kind of thing. Those are some resources here. Really the best and the most commonly used digital audio tool is Audacity. It's well, the best free one. I mean, this is free open source. It's does the same kind of thing that you can do with something fancier like Logic Pro, but this is free. So I recommend it for that reason, if nothing else. Okay, and then finally, where is happening to my tabs? Sorry, gotta find the tab and find the interactive fiction one. Here it is. So interactive fiction there's basically two overarching genres of interactive fiction. There's the kind that you play by clicking on links, and there's the kind that you play by typing things. Twine is a platform that's really popular, and if you're thinking about this module, I'll probably steer you towards Twine, because Twine is pretty popular and accessible, pretty useful. One thing I'll say now, and I will probably remind you about if you use this module, is you have to do it a certain way. Like you can see here where it says use it online. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend using it online because people misunderstand this. If you click on use it online, you're not actually working online. You're working on in your browser's memory, and if you delete your browser's memory, or if you're working in an incognito window, all that stuff is going to get deleted. So your story that you create is going to go away and disappear. There's no way to get it back. If instead you download it first, so I'm on Windows right now, so I would download the Windows version, then it's going to stay in the memory on your computer, and that's the best way to use it. Let me just use it online briefly to show you what it looks like. And actually, let me first show you the kinds of things you can make with this. Whenever you're on the homepage for Twine, which is twinery.org, you'll see some samples of works showing up here, and you can click on any of them and play them online and see what they look like. So this is an example of a playable Twine game. I have not played this particular one, so I don't know if it's any good. But you know, this is the idea. This is the format. The idea of Twine is that you have some text. Some of the words are clickable links to other passages of text, and that's the basic premise of it. But as you can see here, this is sort of a story. And this is a story where you made certain choices, and the player is sort of immersed in some kind of world with this. Now, I'm not. This one did say it has sound effects. I don't want to go too far because I don't know how loud they're going to be. But you can see you've got a choice right here, sort of a flavoring kind of thing, right? So you can say yes, mom, or you can say sigh, okay, mom. You know, there's two different emotions I think expressed by that. So you can kind of pick whichever one conforms or follows the emotional sense that you're interested in exploring with this. So games tend to be exploratory. They tend to be don't tend to be combat focused. They tend to be more about making significant choices throughout an experience. A common thing that people do for their first Twine game is tell the story of a day in their life. That's an easy way to get started. Let me show you the editor for Twine. I've lost the windows. No, I didn't actually open it up. So twinery.org. It's actually pretty intuitive once you get started. This is the editor. You've got passages that you can edit this way. So this is text. This is text, then link. And if you use the syntax of the two square brackets, then that will make the next passage. And then here's the next passage. If you want to make choices, you can have things like choice 1 down here, choice 2, then that'll make both of those passages off there, and you can click them from there. Then you can test it out by clicking play and then seeing if those links work, and they do. There's nothing here yet, but you can see that those things actually work. And that's all there is to it structurally. Now, there's actually a lot you can do with Twine, special macros and effects, and you can do variable tracking and things to keep track of choices and remember choices later on and so on. But it's a pretty easy starting. You can get started pretty quickly with that. Another one I'll just recommend is Inklewriter, which is more of a choose your own adventure style story. You can just do it. You see an option, you can click on different choices. It's a bit more elaborate as an editor, but pretty good. The other one, what else was I going to recommend? Yeah, I don't know if you want to get into Inform 7. Inform 7 is quite a bit, but it does the text parser-based interactive fiction. So this is an example of what that would look like. This is where you read some text and then you have to type instructions for your character. So let's see, you have to say get guitar, for example, and now I have taken guitar and I can check my inventory and see that I now have a guitar, but I've also got some other things that I didn't know I had, like cufflinks and a black tie and black slacks and a white dress shirt. Basically, this is, I know this game, this is you are playing through, this is actually a former student that created this. She created this story where you play through Breakfast at Tiffany's, the movie. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah, so that's parser-based interactive fiction. And if you want to see how this kind of thing, this game works, you can actually click on View Game Source, and so you can see all of the code that Emily wrote to make this game work, you know, and you can learn from that or copy ideas from that even. Okay, so those are the options. Among these, I think you know, interactive fiction might be my favorite. So oh yeah, let me make sure I display all the options here. Yeah, but these are the steps in it. I think I would love to see some interactive fiction from you all this summer, but I think creative coding is great too, and digital audio might also be fun. So I think those are all good choices. Any one of them is a good choice. That's why I gave you those options. If you have any questions or want some more advice about any of these, then let me know. But your basic idea is to explore it on your own. And when just another thing you can see, I want to make sure is clear, is when you're looking at the lists, right? So there we go. When you're looking at the list of suggested tasks, you don't have to do all of these tasks. These are suggestions. You don't have to do any of them, actually. These are just ideas. You're welcome to use them. You're welcome to do something different. But as long as it has something to do with interactive fiction in this case, or ideally make something, then that's great. You know, this is definitely a choose your own adventure, choose your own difficulty level kind of thing, right? So do something that's valuable for you, that's interesting, and that's good enough for me. Okay, well, it's not quite an hour. I'm a little under an hour, so I was sort of successful in my goal of not going over an hour or not going quite as long. But I think I've covered everything I wanted to for today. I'm going to go ahead and check this off here. Again, the main things are read the essay by Vannevar Bush, add your comments and annotations as you read it, pick a module. The Bush stuff, you know, I want to talk about it a little bit more tomorrow after you've had a chance to read it. It's not due until Friday, but you know, try to do it today if you can. But the module, you really need to try to pick that today. You know, so get that done today so that you can work on it until Saturday, because I want to see, or Friday, because I want to see some development. Like I want to see you've got some time where you started it and you had some ideas initially, and then you did some exploration, and then you have your final ideas. I want to see kind of the before and after of that. And you need at least a couple of days to do that. So today would be a great day to choose those modules, and yeah, I look forward to seeing what you choose. Okay, so that is all I believe I have to talk about for today. If you have any questions, of course, you can reach out on Discord or anywhere else. If you are, I just turned on the Eagles again. If you are, yeah, make sure you check your DMs in Discord again, because I sent one of you something pretty important. Yeah, and I might send others, might send everyone else something too. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up then. I'll switch to the, where's my music? Yeah, there we go. Turn on some music and switch to the outro scene. And yeah, have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow.